Hey guys, how it going? This is Yara Spark. I'm here today on a discussion video. I was going to do a podcast, but I decided video recording is a lot easier. But I am here today with St. Michael and Hassad.
Hello.
Hello there.
We are going to be discussing various topics tonight, and hopefully it will be exciting, and hopefully you guys will learn something as well. And hopefully I will as well, because it seems everyone is bringing their own little topic to this discussion. What is our first discussion of the day, Michael?
Well, it's been a while since we've done one of these, but I think the first topic of the day is just going to be about the new update and fleet carriers. And that's a pretty broad topic. It's the first major update that FDev has given us that's really a substantial change and going on a year and a half. So yeah, that's our first topic for the day.
Who wants to go first for this discussion?
Hassad, do you want to lead us off? I was thinking Hassad just for fun, but I can start us if we don't want to.
Probably whoever has the fleet carrier.
Do you not have one?
No.
Oh, actually, you know what? I love that though, because now we can get the perspective of someone who doesn't have a fleet carrier and what they think of it. So, and that's a unique perspective, because a lot of hardcore ED players, these days, have them, and the fact that you were one of the few who doesn't, it's pretty cool. Actually, in some ways, makes you kind of unique.
Yeah.
They are very popular.
I mean, it does take a mining grind to get a fleet carrier. I mean, that's pretty expensive. And I was thinking about getting it at some point, because it is very, very useful, as we'll get to later, but at the moment, don't have the funds, don't have the time to mine for it. And for now, I'm content with using other fleet carriers.
And considering the state of mining, which we'll talk about that later, though. But anyway, into fleet carriers. So yeah, I guess I'll start us off. So I mean, this is something I personally, in previous podcasts, had really talked about a lot that I wanted, and I have to say that for all those out there who probably thought I'd be disappointed, I'm actually not. I am quite happy with what we got. It's pretty much honestly what I expected it to be, maybe even a little bit more. Like, I was never sure they were going to give us things like universal cartographics, but having your own basically mobile station where you can carry everything. Micro jumping in systems being probably the biggest advantage, where I can jump to these, CZs for BGS, or a station I want to visit that's, even Hutton Orbital, and do it in 15 minutes instead of an hour and a half. Like, that is just amazing. Or if you're in wars that are far out, and there's no large station, being able to use my big ships finally. So I have to say that they're everything I wanted and more. Being able to carry my whole fleet into PvP. I mean, I don't want to keep just raving. What do you think, Spark?
I think having the fleet carriers are amazing. I was actually one of the people that did not have a lot of funds when they first were announced, and I remember having to grind ridiculously hard in order to get it. Like, probably the most grinding I've done in probably a couple to few years in Elite Dangerous.
Since you were getting those engineers and those first ships built, I would imagine.
Well, I mean, I've had all those for the longest time. It's just I've never needed a large sum of money before, so I've never had it. I mean, the only thing we really had to buy at the time were ships. And ships are, what? Probably less than, 500, or probably less than $1 billion if you're talking big boy.
I mean, the only ones that are going to run you $1 billion are going to be some of the big boys, and that's if you use reactive surface and stuff, because I think you can even get a cutter under $1 billion if you just go military grade, which, a lot of people do that, because it's not that much of a difference.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, you can still get a big boy for cheap, but if you were just going full balls to the wall.
Yeah, I mean, there's even full balls to the walls, you say, there's very few ships that are going to cost that. Pretty much a cutter and, I don't know, maybe a vet. Something like that. You might get a condo. I don't even think you get a condo up there the more I think about it, so yeah.
But going back on to fleet carriers, I think what makes the fleet carrier nice is, as you were saying, is you basically have a Swiss Army knife at your disposal, and you have a home. You have a permanent home that is always yours, that you are always welcome, and you don't have to worry about the state of it changing.
I have to say, it's funny that you mentioned home, because that is one thing that that I have to say it feels like to me, because for the longest time in Elite Dangerous, I had a few stations I used, primarily pretty boring standard ones like Shinrada and other ones where I would store everything. And I mean, I guess you would call that my home system, right, or my home station, but I never really felt like they were homes because I didn't have any kind of lore attachment. And unfortunately, some of the systems I did have lore attachment to, weren't the greatest. So for me, having a carrier, I finally, for the first time in ever, I guess, really in Elite Dangerous, outside of being in my ship, I do feel like I have a home, which is great. Where I park every night, and I kind of even will sometimes go out of my way, or against maybe the easiest thing in the morning where I don't really need to land on it, but I'll do it anyway just to kind of be at home, I guess,
Yeah, I mean, it feels like the work you put in to get the carrier is shown and worth it. I would say probably grinding for the carrier, but obviously getting the other stuff is way more important too.
Yeah, and I was gonna say I think I love how much the community, even the skeptical ones, a lot of them, at least the ones who are still playing the game, have really come around. Like, I can remember quite a few guys who were like, "Oh, I might get one, I might not. I'll see how they work out." End up actually getting them. I did see one or two go the other way, but the majority, I would say, went the way of getting the carrier, which was really cool to see them become far more popular, because there was a lot of people who were kind of, I don't want to say naysaying, but certainly kind of like, we'll see. And I actually think that the carriers themselves, now there were other issues with the updates, but the carriers themselves, I think, overall worked out pretty well.
Yeah, I hope later down the road we'll get like upgrades or some other stuff for them. As you said earlier, I am very happy that it does get cartography accessibility, and also it just unlocks a lot of exploring potential as well. And hopefully, I can take mine out exploring once we talked about earlier they fixed the mining problem.
So Hassad, I really wanted to know, beyond not so much about you getting a carrier, but just what's it like being a player in the galaxy, not having one, and like, what do you think of carriers? Because you obviously do have friends who have them, and like, I don't know, what's your perception? Because you don't, you have a different view than probably we do.
I mean, I'm really happy with fleet carriers right now. I mean, I fully agree with pretty much everything you guys have said. Like, it does make me want to get one at some point, but obviously, currently busy in the game doing other stuff. But carriers are very useful because I'm a BTS guy, and the fact that you can micro jump it to within system and also use it as a rearming station, refueling station is very useful to me because I'm a big boy flyer. I fly big ships all the time. And what puts me off is whenever we have, in my group, we have operations that have no big landing pads or unable to land there for a long period of time. And I'm just here like, all right, I gotta go to the next system and land and rearm, refuel. But that also cuts me out from doing any missions unless I'm doing getting a small ship and doing the long process of continuously switching out. But with a carrier, you can have your things over in a specific area. You can even have them next to a CZ that's going on that you're frequenting all the time. Also next to a station or an outpost that you can switch ships into. I find that utility-wise, it's pretty much perfect. I mean, there's some issues I've been having in terms of sometimes being being hostile with the faction that owns any system, and the security ships being around the carrier, they're always shooting you when you're trying to land. But other than that,
which unfortunately is a feature, not a bug. That's the sad part. Is they actually basically said that in the patch notes, how that's how security would work. So that is unfortunately a negative. Your station not defending its owner from these nasty security guards is a little ridiculous, but I totally understand.
Exactly. I'm just trying to innocently take over with hostile intent. I don't deserve to get attacked by the security.
Yeah, like exactly. Why would anyone treat me? It's like, oh, so you know, I might have accidentally killed a few people. You know, my bad. Sorry about that. Apologies and such. We are Imperials.
Of course.
Yeah. I think how the carriers are implemented were very cool. I do like having the fuel. I like the maintenance. I mean, it does require a lot of money to maintain them, if I can speak today. Sadly, the price for everything is a little high in my opinion, but maybe that is just how it's supposed to be. I think once they fix the tritium and the mining situation, I will probably go back to being more pleased, but right now I'm in a very nervous and hesitant spot, and I feel like it puts a lot of carriers at a detrimental time.
Well, it's kind of funny that you say that because that kind of is a segue, and I guess we can start it talking about it with just tritium and carriers. You know, FDev has talked a lot about that update, and they've said they're working on it, and it's very clear they are, but they've definitely focused mostly on the tritium aspect. Like, I almost wonder if mining, as far as making the money the way we used to with LTDs, is going to come back even in a little way. I mean, apparently mining is still viable, it's just much more slow and more realistic now. And I'm sure if you're a good miner, you know, you could probably still make the best money in the game.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure mining as a whole is really going to come back. I think they're going to fix tritiums, but that I just one thing that I'm kind of reading from all these posts is every time they talk about these fixes and the issues, they seem to really be focusing on, well, the tritium, we don't want to leave people stranded and all this, and they've been really careful not to seem to talk about the other stuff too much. And so that kind of tells me that they might tweak the other stuff a little bit and try to fix it, but I think in general they want it nerfed.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty clear that it was very intentional that they were like, all right, the whole everyone, you know, becoming a billionaire off mining days are over.
It just kind of sucks because, I mean, what's the problem right now for me is the stuff is bugged. Supposedly it's bugged, and I do believe it. I've heard multiple reports and I've seen multiple reports. And I don't mind if the stuff isn't selling for as much, but it still needs to be accessible.
Well, my whole thing is I want money balanced in the game. So I have to say there is a part of me. The tritium not so much, but as far as like the main income mining, there is a part of me that goes, we need the balancing. But I don't really want it to come at the expense of nerfing mining to the point of being useless. What I would much rather than do, and this is what people have been calling for a long time, is fine, increase the value of mining per hour. I'm cool with that, but increase other activities as well, so I'm not forced to mine.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's where you... Yeah.
Oh,
I was just going to make that one joke about like how like that's why you see the Braben quote.
Hey guys, sorry, the recording got slightly messed up, so we might have lost some topics we were discussing or some things we were discussing about, but we still did get a lot of portions in. Luckily, I caught it early, so we are just going to pick up where we left off at. Me and Michael and Hassad were talking about how the mining nerfs, I feel like, were a bit extreme and didn't need to start till they fix other aspects of the game that needed better money making, and I kind of wanted to get everyone's opinion on that discussion as well, because that is kind of where we left off at. So if we want to pick up on that, that works too.
Yeah, so as far as I'm not sure exactly where it cut off at, so I'll just reiterate quickly my stance, which is, you know, I think the mining nerf, I don't like it affecting tritium at all. I think it needed to happen to a point, although it was probably overdone, and basically that instead of screwing over the mining, what they really need to do is increase the payouts of other jobs in the game and other things you can do so that they can finally balance the credits. So
yeah, like, you know, increasing maybe combat missions in conflict zones. Maybe
Yeah,
that would be better.
exactly.
Yes.
Even I think even things like trading, although they kind of did that with tritium trading. Like I have to say, tritium trading was giving me a little bit of hope. But then there's been such a run on tritium since the new thing. That's kind of been, unfortunately, along with mining, the tritium trade is kind of gone too. But it was nice to see something like the tritium trade finally come along. And besides mining, and you weren't quite making mining money, but it was different, and you were making not far behind it, and that was cool to see.
Very much opening up new markets. But the thing is, yeah, it did need to be nerfed. A little mining,
Yes,
not exactly the tritium, because again, like I remember talking about how hard it was to come across money, and then just with all these mining updates and whatnot, that just making things so easy and something that took you originally a long while could be done in a couple of hours.
Yeah, and to be fair, I understand why they increased earning something to a point, because when you're going to introduce something into the game like fleet carriers that's that expensive and requires that kind of grind, like you do need to give people a way to make that kind of money. My gripe was always that was only one way, and also that it was just too much, because I like it needs to be good amount, but like you should be able to earn it in a couple of months or a month if you're really hardcore, not a few days where it was especially if it was somebody being led by an experienced commander or mentor who was able to get that kind of money in literally 3 or 4 days of hardcore mining, and that's a bit nuts.
So I was doing a little bit of research on Anara. It looks like the highest price LTDs are selling for now is 905,000 credits.
Yeah, I remember the day before the patch, actually, there was this really good selling system, and everyone, including myself, we all went there and sold because we were like, oh, this is about to happen. And I have to say, normally that's just paranoid talk, but this was one of those few times where I was really glad I listened to the paranoid talk, because they absolutely destroyed it after that. I think there might have been 1 or 2 decent sell stations after that for very short times, but that was it.
Yeah. And what's terrible is that there's no system buying it with a good demand, so it's just terrible prices.
Yeah, so even if you can get it, you can't sell it,
Yeah,
Gold
even
rush
carriers
crashed.
are buying. Yeah, and I mean, Void Opals are doing really well, and I'm a big fan of Void Opals. You even know this, Michael. I love Void Opals.
Well, I mean, it's more fun to mine them. I agree with that. Like,
yeah,
slower money, but it was more engaging. Whereas strip mining, like brand mining before the carriers came out, like, man, like, I mean, I understand it was great money, and it was simple, and it was great for noobs, but man, it was mind numbing after a while.
Yeah, but the thing is, even that has low demand. Why is everything purple? Did you piss off everything, Michael?
Everything's purple because the system is owned by the enemy faction, and they're all angry at us because we just killed all their friends. So they're all like, "Boo, those guys."
Fair enough. Are we going back to the medium?
I'm going to the station to turn this mission in, because I actually picked up a mission that
Did you
was.
share it?
I did share it.
Oh,
I don't. You're not in my.
Did it?
You're. Yeah. It was a very
Yeah, I
small
didn't know.
mission, so that's why I never even actually switched to my Corvette.
But as I was saying about the Void Opals, even they have terrible demand. The problem is demand, and how the rocks are giving the minerals away is what sucks.
It's a twofold.
as a-
It's a twofold, failure. I mean, not only is it hard to mine them, but it's also hard to sell them. And I've heard even when you do get decent sell prices, that it's very low demand, and it doesn't last.
Yeah. No, and that's what I think is terrible, is that there's no... It just feels useless now. And mining is one of those aspects of the game, is one of the foundations of this game. That's how I got my first ship in the game. And I'm not saying I'm the best miner in the world or a person that likes mining, but I think it's something that's important for everyone in the game. There's a lot of people that enjoy it
Well,
and find it
I have to
relaxing.
say, I don't know if I have like a super amount of sympathy for mining, just because it's kind of had its reign on top for the last year and a half. But I do think FDev needs to put in some money maker, not what it was before, because even I think that was too much, as we talked about already. But I do think they need to make a few things, preferably a few different things in the game, profitable enough. Like, I think, like, I guess if we're going to put it per hour, because everyone likes to do that in their videos, right? So why not do ours? Like, I would say a fair number per hour is like 100 to 150 million, and let it fluctuate in that range. That's a fair, good amount of credits per hour without going like crazy bazongas. and make.
What do you think of?
Anyway, that's my
Oh,
opinion.
You're gonna be getting that amount of money doing other stuff. I mean, that's also good. You're engaging with the game's many other aspects. Also,
Yeah, I
you'll
just
find
want it
out-
to be across multiple things. Yeah.
Yeah, same. But on the topic of
Hold on, no.
you know-
Let Hassad finish. Let Hassad finish. We interrupted. All right, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, it definitely does give you different perspectives into the game. There's different things to get into, and who knows? It might get people more interested in combat. Give trading some love again. Well, specifically rare tradings, imperial slaves, whatnot, and maybe give love back to passenger missions. Like I remember that was a fun time. Well, more exploity, but fun time people get engaged with, getting as many passenger missions done that for whatever well, gold rush was going on at the time. Instead, make it less of a gold rush and more of a profitable thing.
But on the topic of or things that can get you money and things that are not normally known inside the game or might have been lost due to time, what are a couple things you guys can think of? I'm going to name a couple to start off with that you think are good money makers. The first two things that come into my opinion are Road to Riches and Robigo Runs. I still think those are good. I don't think they're quite as good, but they're still good. But do you guys know anyone or anything else that might be just as good?
I mean, to be fair, these days after doing wing combat missions, for some reason, you get a lot more money with a lot less needed kills with wing massacre missions than you do non-wing massacre missions when it comes to conflict zones.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get 40 million per mission, getting what 40 or so kills. Despite if you were doing non-wings, you'd have to get well over 100 to get that amount of money. It's weird, but profitable.
I agree. I think you're actually right.
I just don't know. I don't know why, but it just works.
Yeah. I don't know if you two can answer this question. I don't do a lot of trading, but are the trade missions still really good? The trade wing missions?
Trade wing missions, not necessarily.
Do they get nerfed?
No, it's never really a good thing for me. I mean, to be fair,
I know I made a lot of money doing them.
Nah, I don't think wing trade missions are.
no, you have to get so much traded back and forth.
I mean,
You
probably.
get more money literally just going through the commodities market than doing that same level of going back and forth.
yeah, I'm not sure what exploits have been found or anything, but as far as I can tell, the best money makers are a few forms of mining. Apparently, are still somewhat viable. I mean, even at those less than prices, think about it, 900,000 a ton, you can still make some decent money. Robigo passenger runs are still somewhat viable, although without board flipping, it's kind of a luck thing. If you get lucky, you can make a pretty decent amount per hour. If you don't, not so much. The massacre missions, if you're an elite combateer, and you have max rep, you're pulling in pretty good money with a wing.
Even alone.
Yeah, even alone, but especially with the wing, especially if you have 4 elite pilots who all are experienced and have engineered ships, and you're all sharing missions together, you can really rack up money. The problem, of course, is getting 4 elite combateer pilots into a wing who are willing to play for a significant amount of time together.
Right. I think I did one day of combat missions, 2-3 hours worth of work, and I got 250 million from it.
Yeah, exactly. And the only reason I was saying elite combateers is not because there's not a lot of people who aren't really dedicated elite pilots, is because you just get those max payout missions when you're elite. That's
Exactly. High rep and elite combat mission. Elite combat rank.
Yeah,
You just get the best missions for combat.
Yeah. And I mean, I was looking at some of the people who were sharing their missions with me today and the CZs we're working on, and I was like, wow, there's this difference.
There is a difference. I mean, I've been getting decent wing combat missions, and I'm currently dangerous, but definitely Michael's ones are much better because of his elite rank.
Yeah, I mean, like, don't get me wrong, they're not bad, but then once you see those elite, and what's weird is the elite ones are like almost double. Like, it's crazy. It's like it's not even a little bit more. Like, where it's like, oh, it's a few extra million. It's like, no, that's like double for the same amount of kills and stuff like that. So, pretty cool. Anyway, so, but yeah, FDEF, you know, fixed mining is tritium. Although we kind of understand the other mining nerf, although maybe bring it back at least a little bit. Find a balance, FDEF, learn.
I forget what I was going to talk about, but I guess on the subject of what I'm thinking about now, do you think exploration needs a bump in pay?
Probably. Although I will say it's also, if you're a hardcore explorer, the good thing for you is it's probably one of the least money-intensive jobs in a lot of ways, unless I guess you're trying to maintain a carrier. But outside of that, you know, so you don't need you don't need a ton of ships. You don't need a massive fleet. You know, a lot of hardcore explorers I know do it with 2 or 3 ships, really, maybe 4.
Pretty much. I mean, even if you have a fleet carrier, just get only 1 or 2 modules and you're good. Like, your upkeep will be very negligible.
Yeah, I mean, I admire some of those explorers. I mean, I've heard about a few guys who, who even live in the black, like guys who've had like a character, or even sometimes even the main one or the only one, out in the black for years and stuff like that. And that, that's commendable and things like that. It's pretty cool. Might turn in occasionally like a nebula station, get their discoveries, but that's it. Like, it's a life. I don't know if I could do it personally. I don't think I could. Like, I don't mind exploring here and there, but I don't think I could be one of those guys who's like, I'm gonna be gone, for 8 months. See you later.
I'm not a big explorer. I tried it once, got bored, had to go back.
I've made a few destinations. The only one that I guess is like, I've made a lot of long distance ones, but I haven't made the long distance one. I haven't done Beagle Point. I've been to the top of the galaxy. I've been to Sagittae. I've been to the Edge. I
am tempted to get to the Engineers and Colonia.
Yeah, I've been to Colonia twice. I've been to Sagittae twice, actually. So I've done a lot of that, but I've never done like Beagle Point. Something like that.
I think I've been to like Colonia like a dozen times. I actually went to Colonia back, like, when the Cover Mart 4 first came out, so, like, beginning of Horizons. Ooh. And I went to Colonia before Colonia even existed. I have footage of it.
Nice.
So, I know. So...
Well, actually, that's a cool thing about Colonia is I love the fact that it was one of the few things that got its name from the community, because it was the community that really named it Colonia. Like, I think that's a pretty cool fact.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, I believe Beagle Point was given the name by the community, right?
Yeah, a lot of the community has had I believe it was. A lot of the community has had a real effect on the game like that. Not quite as much in recent times, unfortunately, but even in recent times, because they gave that award out, where a few people get to rename it. Like, I know the feds, unfortunately, are bitter enemies, but shout out to them for getting this accomplished. Where they, through that charity drive or whatever, got one of the planets renamed, and was it Rhea to Forsyth after one of the old leaders of their community. So,
respected that.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, we're enemies, but respect to that. That's pretty cool to have something like that happen in game, and even LL, we got our shout out not too long ago in the newsletter, and of course we've had our own Galnet articles and stuff in the past. So. Which is pretty cool. And we have our own capital ships in game, stuff like that. So that's pretty awesome.
Yes. Do you guys want to talk about anything else about the subject, or?
I think I'm good to move on. How about you, Michael?
I think I'm good to move on. I guess now it's onto the big one, Spark, I guess.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else for this topic, but